Welcome to the College Admission TV Presidential Podcast. We sit down with passionate leaders in education for their thoughts and insights in today's world. We are excited to have as our guest Jennifer Cowley, President of the University of Texas at Arlington.
Well, I always love to start off with your journey, and I would love to learn who are the mentors that helped shape your path to the presidency?
You know, I have been impacted by so many wonderful people throughout my career. And I just, want to point out a couple. I was very fortunate in my career at Ohio State University that they had a women's center that part of their job was to look out for people on campus and cultivate their talents. And I had one of the members of that center stop me on the sidewalk one day. And I was a brand new assistant professor who told me, one day you're going to be the president of this university. And I thought she was, had no clue what she was talking about. I thought, that's just silly. Like, all I want to do is take care of my little one and, make tenure and that sort of thing. But the leaders of that center, Deb Ballum and Eunice Hornsby over the years really did a wonderful job of inviting me to engage in professional development activities, encouraged me to focus on career mapping and to imagine the kinds of roles that I could have in the future. And one of the pieces of wisdom they gave me, they said, I don't see president on there. And I said, well, I don't want to be a president. And they're like, we don't care. You need to put it on there anyway, just to see what would it take? What would it look like? You may not be ready today to think about that in the future, but think about those steps along the pathway that can ultimately lead to a presidency. So, they were very encouraging and look, all these years later, fast forward, here I am, a university president. So they knew something maybe I didn't.
Well, absolutely. And now, are you also a professor?
I am. I'm a professor.
So you're teaching and the president too.
Well, there's only so much teaching I can do in a day, but I participate in our professional development workshops and help support our faculty when I can.
That's great. That's great. So what was your dissertation on?
My dissertation was on the glamorous topic, Bradley, of how to finance water and sewer lines. I mean, that's a topic everybody wants to write a book about and, of course, read that book. So I'd be happy to send that along to you.
Hey, may not be the sexiest topic, but it's essential, right? I mean, that's important.
It is essential. I'm a city planner by academic discipline. And, in the state of Texas, we are growing like crazy. And how you pay for all that infrastructure is really important.
Well, and so let's talk about community and let's talk about the relationships that you have with the surrounding cities. So, I don't want to ask the question how important. I know it's important to build the relationships with the surrounding areas, Dallas, Fort Worth, et cetera. But, for the University of Texas at Arlington, how do you go about building relationships, and what's the end goal in building relationships with nearby cities and counties?
Well, we're here to serve Texas. That's our role as a state institution. And we understand that we are a supplier of talent and a very important supplier of talent, that our region is not growing if we're not there to support the industries that want to move into our region. And so for us, it's really a hand-in-hand partnership. So we regularly work with the chambers of commerce, our local governments, and the school districts, and it's all an ecosystem of how do we support the development of talent that's needed so that our region can be successful from an economic, a social, and a cultural perspective. And so we really treasure those relationships, whether it's engaged in recruiting activities to bring companies or help them grow here, or whether it's understanding what do we need to do to partner with our K through 12 school districts to make sure that students are prepared and ready to move on to post-secondary opportunities, whether they're, with the University of Texas at Arlington or with a community college or with others in our region or beyond. It's all about how we work together to make sure that we're supporting the communities that surround us. Dallas-Fort Worth is the fastest growing region and one of the fastest growing areas of the country. And so we have a very important role to play in making sure that we're collaborating and making great things happen in our region.
And so you have roughly 44,000 students. Is that give or take?
Yes, give or take.
Okay. And now how big do you want to get, or how big can you get?
Well, I think those are two separate questions. How big do we want to be versus how big could we get? Our principal focus is on how do we make sure that we are cultivating the talent that's needed for Texas. And every day we're talking about which majors need to grow. How do we support making sure that we have the talent that we need? For example, we produce more than half of the state's nurses that are bachelor's qualified. We know that there's tremendous demand for nursing. So we're always looking at, well, what do we need to do to expand our clinical partnerships or other kinds of work that needs to happen in collaboration to make sure that we're able to support the growing needs of the employers across our state.
So now, are you considered a satellite campus? I mean,
no,
or not? Okay, and
no.
the reason I ask that is because the other University of Texas schools, are you competing for students, with a UT Austin or other institutions as well?
I wouldn't frame it that way, Bradley. So the state of Texas has a system that is set up so that the top 6% of students, if you graduate in the top 6% of your class, you're guaranteed admission into the University of Texas. And then I think it's the top 10% for Texas A&M University. And so then there are all these other amazing schools in the state that are supporting the success of students. So the University of Houston, University of Texas at Arlington, UT Dallas, all these other schools that are going to have programs that support students that students in the top 6% do choose to come to University of Texas at Arlington for many reasons, but they may not be guaranteed, let's say they're in the top 12%, they may not be guaranteed a spot at the University of Texas in Austin. And so each of our universities across the state has their own strengths. And so, for example, I just mentioned we have the largest nursing school in the state of Texas and one of the largest in the nation. That's something that's distinguishing for us. And so if you want to study nursing, you're coming to UTA. If you want to study some other subject, then you may be choosing another university in the state. And so yes, students may be choosing between some of the institutions, but it's really the same as it would be in any other state. You're deciding whether Oklahoma State or the University of Oklahoma is a good choice for you or some other university in that state.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, and you just expanded on it perfectly, is the differentiators that UT Arlington brings to the table, and if those differentiators, if those match what the student's looking for, then the student should definitely, choose your institution.
Yeah, so you could think of it a little bit like the University of California system, that there's this series of universities. They're all great. Nobody's saying, well, if you go to UCLA, that's not as good as going to Berkeley. Well, Berkeley may be, super outstanding, but UCLA is a really wonderful university. It's just in Texas, we're a bit more independent, so we have a few more different systems, but still great caliber universities for students to choose between.
Well, and something that I've noticed is that you're offering online degrees, and there's a good percentage of students that do take online courses and earn online degrees. And so I wanted to ask, because oftentimes I hear the words "meet students where they are," and clearly the University of Texas at Arlington is doing that. So can you expand on when you hear meet students where they are? How are you all doing that today? Again, whether it be in the type of program delivery or, to your point, in the degrees that are offered, just to make sure that you're meeting students, in a manner that's convenient and effective for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're physically located literally in the middle of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So we're 20 minutes from downtown Fort Worth, 20 minutes from downtown Dallas, and Arlington itself has more than 400,000 people that live in the city itself. And so our location is really strategic because it allows students who want to come and study, move in from out of the region, out of state, they can come have a great experience right here at our university. But we're also close enough. I have, millions of people within just a narrow radius around us that students can choose. For example, I want to go to school part-time and get my MBA. You can make that choice. or I'm working in a hospital environment and I want to take some online classes so that I can advance my skill set. You can choose to do that. And so we've had a really strong mindset that we want to make sure that we are as accessible as possible to Texans and beyond, to make sure that we're meeting what students are actually looking for in their education. So whether it's the type of degree program, whether it's the modality of that degree program, or the time of day that courses are offered, we try to maximize the flexibility to help students achieve their dreams.
So when you are talking to prospective students and prospective parents, what's the number one question that you get, and are they different?
For students and families, it may be a little bit different what's highest on the priority scale, but I'll say for families, they want to know my child is going to get a great education and they're going to be able to have a good career when they graduate. And so it's that career focus that tends to be top of mind for parents. For the students, it can be a little bit more variable. Hey, I'm interested in what is the student experience going to be like? Am I going to have a good time alongside learning great things? Am I going to have great professors that are going to help cultivate me, during my time at the University of Texas at Arlington? But they're also concerned about what are those career outcomes as well. It just may not always be at the top of the list.
So how do you make sure that students and staff really feel like they belong? And I think when you look at a student standpoint, and maybe you can even speak to this regarding, a staff standpoint, when you look at retention, what measures are in place to make sure that students stick with it and graduate?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that differentiates the University of Texas at Arlington, we're one of the most diverse institutions in the country. We're designated as a Hispanic serving institution. We're designated as an Asian American, Native American, and Pacific Islander institution. We have students that come from all over the world and all over our region and state and beyond. And so you really find that there is a uniqueness and an ability to find community at UTA that's different from some other institutions. We're not a monoculture kind of place. We are a very diverse space. And so if you want to engage with students in your major, you can find student organizations around your major. You can find student organizations that center around whatever your area of interest might be. And so we have found that there is a vibrant student life where students are able to navigate and find the kinds of places they want to hang out in, to find the student organizations they want to be part of. And as part of our Maverick Stampede at the beginning of every fall, we spend a lot of time helping students find their place. So whether they want to get engaged with the Honors College, or they want to be part of a living learning community, or they want to be part of a student organization, that they have opportunities to get that engagement on campus.
So how are you all engaging alumni today?
Well, I have a great time with our alumni. That's one of the fun jobs of a president is last week we had graduation, getting to celebrate those graduates who are crossing the stage and welcoming them to as alums. And then we have all kinds of ways that we engage, whether it's sending them notes about what's going on campus, to having activities to engage in. We're heading into the winter break, but when we get back, it's rodeo time. So we'll have UTA Day at the rodeo. We'll have UTA Day at the Texas Rangers, and we had an awesome time cheering on the Texas Rangers to, the national championship in the World Series. And so we just find all kinds of ways to get our alumni connected back into the university too, because so many times our alumni want to give their time and talents, share with students, to mentor them, to come into a class and be able to share what their experience has been like. And our students love hearing that too. They want to know what are the real world things that our alums are doing and how they're creating impact in the world. So those are just a few examples.
So now, where do you see UT Arlington in the next 5 years or the next 10 years?
Oh, we're on the rise. We've been on the rise for a long time. And so it has been really fun. I grew up here in Arlington to be able to watch the transformation of this university since the time I was a kid to where it is today as one of the nation's largest and most impactful major research universities in the country. I love that our faculty and students get to engage in solving the problems that really face us as a nation, to get the chance to work with companies to help solve their problems. And so I just see us continuing to advance on our strategic plan, which is focused on how do we continue to create impact in the state of Texas.
What's the top keep you up at night challenge that you're thinking about every day?
How do we continue to create the opportunities for our students to be as successful as possible? And, you hear stories from individual students about challenges they may be facing, whether it's an economic challenge or an academic challenge, and just saying, what are the additional things that we can do to make sure that every student can stay on their path to being successful? And so, we spend time talking about what are the strategic investments we need to make, whether it's expanding mental health resources or adding additional career counselors or all of the other ways that we can make sure that we're supporting our students and making sure that they can go on to graduate and achieve their dreams.
So what was that moment like when you heard that you became the president?
Oh, it was really fantastic. I was very excited to have been selected, honored to be able to get to serve this great university, and getting on campus and getting to know everybody has just been phenomenal. Everything I thought was here is here, and the amount of joy and spirit that people bring into their jobs and wanting to make sure that we're supporting our students' success, that we're collaborating with the community, has just been phenomenal.
Well, and I would imagine there's got to be such a big advantage, having grown up in the area and just being so familiar with the area, and the institution. That's got to be a great recruitment tool from your vantage point.
I think it is. It's great to get to tell the story of going to summer camp on campus and being able to take classes here and all the opportunities that we have in the community. It's a lot of fun.
And now you had mentioned working with K-12s. I mean, do you have recruitment efforts working with feeder schools to make them know, help students and families learn about career paths and educational paths?
Absolutely. We have a lot of partnerships with our K through 12 districts that surround us. Of course, we have recruiting partnerships. We're going out and recruiting students from those schools. We participate in all kinds of career days and festivals. We host a wide range of competitions and events on campus so students can get the chance to get to know us. So, for example, we recently had a autonomous vehicle competition on campus that was sponsored by some of our corporate partners and UTA so that teams from across the region can compete. We have science fairs, you name it. There are opportunities for us to collaborate and to create those pathways. One of the ones that I'm most proud of is we all know that there's a shortage of teachers in our K through 12 system. And we want to do everything we can to promote and support those who want to become educators. And so we have created a partnership allowing a kind of create your own teacher program where students who are in the K through 12 system who say, I want to be a teacher, can start on that pathway while they're in high school in their school district, that they can come to UTA, complete their degree, and then return right back to their school district and be a teacher right where they grew up. And so those are programs that we get really excited about because it's a way to be able to support our communities and allow our students to do the things they want to do.
Now, do you have internship opportunities? I imagine you do for students. And how early does that start for students?
That can start as early as the freshman year. So one of the things that we are doing is redesigning our student employment to make sure that we're focused on those near-term skills that students can develop, achieve, and then be ready for when they go out into an internship with a private employer. And then we have a wide range of internship experiences. One of the ones that I'll just share with you is our college work experience program that we have with Lockheed Martin. And so they partner with us and they hire interns across disciplines. They'll hire up to 300 students a year to across their business units. And that creates a wonderful opportunity for students to be able to engage with a major employer, to learn those skills, and to be ready, many of them getting hired upon graduation.
And so how long have you been in office? About a year and a half?
Year and a half. Yes.
Okay.
A year and a half.
Okay. What's been the biggest surprise?
Mm-hmm. I am Gonna say the biggest surprise is how it shouldn't come as a surprise, but just to see the level of engagement and enthusiasm that our staff and faculty have for wanting to make the changes that will impact our students positively. I am just constantly, every time I turn around, somebody has a new idea. Hey, we could do this and it would be even better for our students. How can we partner together to make this fun new initiative happen for our students? And so just seeing that constant focus on our students really just brings joy to my heart every day.
Well, Dr. Jennifer Cowley, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, good luck with the episode.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the College Admission TV Presidential Podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll bring you another insightful conversation with a distinguished leader in higher education.